This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlights. Navy rescues 15 passengers from kidnappers in Rivers State. Serap condemns bill to jail Nigerians who eschew voting. Tinubu hosts Wike FCT delegation at Aso Villa. Tinubu signs investment securities bill into law. Zelensky accuses Russia of launching missiles in Ukraine. Boxer Olarewaju dies after collapsing in Ghana fight. Tinubu has restored my hope in Nigeria that it frees. Nigerian Navy Forward Operating Base, Bonny in Rivers State, has rescued 15 passengers from suspected kidnappers aboard a commercial cargo boat along the Bonny River. The base operations officer, Lieutenant Commander Sirajo Al-Mustafa, in a statement, said the Navy's anti-kidnapping team was informed to rescue the boat and its crew while the suspected armed kidnappers took the victims to a creek around Opwa Dakiri Creek along the Bonny-Port Harcourt Sea route. The statement said the FOB Bonny anti-kidnapping team embarked on routine patrol around Bonny Anchorage, open water and yellow platform up to the limit of the base's area of operation, and during the patrol, security checks were carried out on passenger boats plying through the area. The base operation officer also said after rescuing the victims, the briefing session conducted yielded useful information regarding the suspects, while the 15 passengers and the market boat were escorted to their destination safely. He assured that patrols around the general impacted area would be sustained to avert the activities of sea pirates and kidnappers in the waterways. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has suspended the commander of the Edo State Security Corps, Friday Ibadin, following the March 27 lynching of travelers in Uromi, the Esan Northeast local government area of the state. The victims, mostly from northern Nigeria, were set ablaze by an angry mob after a local vigilante group allegedly found firearms in their possession while traveling in a Dangote cement truck, while the police rescued 10 others, while the deceased were buried on Saturday. In a statement on Sunday, the secretary to the state government, Musa Ikilo, confirmed Ibadin's suspension and announced a ban on all unregistered vigilante groups in the state, adding that investigations into the killings are ongoing and 14 persons have been arrested so far, while there is an intense manhunt for others involved in the gruesome killing by a special team set up by the Inspector General of Police. The state government said it is in contact with the victims' families, community leaders and the Kano state government, where most of the disease reportedly originated, and urged all parties involved to remain calm. Government remains committed to ensuring that justice is done in a most efficient, transparent and proactive manner. Residents of Umoima community in Owerri Municipal Council of Imo State have staged a protest against the demolition of the old timber market by the state government. Speaking with journalists, the President General of the community, Christian Anukam, said they were protesting against inhumane action meted on the community by the state government over the demolition of the ancient timber market in Owerri. He expressed sadness over what he termed impromptu action on the side of the government for not informing occupants of the place ahead of time to enable them safeguard their wares, adding that the community supports the APC-led administration of Hope Uzodinma and wondered why the state government decided to treat them in such a manner by not allowing tenants trading in the market to the opportunity to secure their goods before the demolition. Anukam said a one-day notice is not enough to enable occupants move their wares out of the area, while one of the community leaders, Pascal Wine, said they just learned that Owerri Capital Development Authority officials were coming to demolish the place without properly informing the community. According to him, the land was released to them since 2007 by the then administration purposely for the market, and stressed that they were surprised at the turn of events and further pleaded on the government to consider their pleas as they are also citizens of the state. According to the General Manager of OCDA, Frank Nkem, prior to the demolition, a 21-day notice was given to the occupants, which he said the occupants refused to adhere to. Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi has visited the scenes of two devastating fire incidents at the Electronics Market Plaza on Iweka Road and a warehouse at Ifejerika Street, Main Market, Onitsha, Anambra State. Eyewitnesses said the warehouse caught fire, which started around 5:45 a.m. on Friday, raged for hours before being contained by the Anambra State Fire Service, while a separate fire at the Electronics Market Plaza on Tuesday night destroyed goods worth millions of naira. Obi, a former Anambra State governor, expressed deep concern over the traders' losses, noting that many depend entirely on their businesses for survival, and expressed deep concern over the impacts of the disaster on the victims, and many of whom he said rely solely on their businesses for livelihood. While at the site, Obi held private meetings with the leadership of the affected markets and some of the worst-hit traders and commended the efforts of the Anambra State Fire Service in curbing the spread of the fires, despite obvious challenges. Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo and his wife, Nonye, have felicitated with mothers in the state on this year's occasion of Mother's Day. In separate press releases, the governor and his wife describe mothers as those who make the sacrifices that keep families going at tough times. The governor, in a press release by his press secretary, said profound appreciation to all mothers in Anambra State and across Nigeria on the occasion of today's Sunday Mothering Day, and lauded their unrelenting dedication, selfless love, and irreplaceable contributions to families and society. The governor also acknowledged the exceptional role for the First Lady of Anambra State, Dr. Nonye Soludo, whose humanitarian initiatives continue to transform lives across the state. Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba, has congratulated Muslim faithful in the state and across the nation on the successful observance of the Ramadan fast. Mba extolled the lessons and virtues of faith, togetherness, mercy, and charity inherent in holy month of Ramadan, describing them as critical values in nation building. These were contained in his Eid al-Fitr message to the Muslim faithful on Sunday. Governor Mba wished the people of the state and all Nigerians a delightful and hitch-free Eid al-Fitr celebration. Petroleum tanker carrying about 45,000 liters of premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, has overturned in Oyo State. Eyewitnesses said the incident occurred at Ofa Meta along the Oyo-Ogbomoso Expressway. The general manager of the Oyo State Fire Service, Mr. Yemi Akinyinka, who confirmed the incident when contacted, said firefighters were immediately mobilized to the scene and, when alerted, had brought the situation under control. Federal Road Safety Corps in Ogun State has warned motorists against carrying inflammable substances such as gas that may ignite fire explosions during the Eid al-Fitr celebration. Ota Unit Commander of FRSC, Mr. Wasiu Ogumfmefu, issued the warning in Ota, Ogun State, adding that the warning was necessary to promote safety during the festival. He said the primary goal of the warning was to reduce the risk of fire and explosions on the road, which could lead to loss of lives and property, and also advised motorists to exercise patience and drive safely on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway as the road was still under construction. Ogumefun also cautioned against overloading vehicles as it could make them more fragile, increasing the risk of road crashes and advised against carrying humans with animals, warning that anyone caught doing so would be arrested by FRSC personnel. He underscored the importance of motorists cooperating with FRSC personnel who had been deployed to ensure traffic safety, ease congestion, and respond to emergencies on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. Kaduna State Governor Senator Uba Sani has urged residents in the state to continue to pray for peace, progress, and development. Governor Uba Sani, who wrote on his verified Facebook page on his Salah message to the people of the state, said Eid al-Fitr is a time for increased charity and generosity, sharing food, love, time, and respect with the poor and needy, adding that as they celebrate with family and friends and also neighbors for their dear states, they should also pray for continued peace, progress, and development. He reaffirmed his administration's commitment to the transformation of rural areas, upgrading urban infrastructure, especially in areas inhabited by the urban poor, security, economic revitalization, human capital development, and youth and women empowerment. At least 9 people lost their lives in a fatal road crash on Sunday morning along the Malumfashi-Kafo Road in Katsina State. The Katsina State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Aliyu Maji, who confirmed the accident, described it as a lone accident involving a Hummer bus carrying 20 passengers. The FRSC commander urged motorists to exercise caution, warning against speeding, overloading, and reckless driving, especially during festive periods, adding that despite the state government's efforts to improve road infrastructure, reckless driving remains a major cause of fatal accidents in Katsina. Hundreds of Kano residents cheered Emir Mohammed Sanusi II on Sunday as he led the traditional after prayers Eid procession, chanting "There is only one Emir in Kano." The traditional after Eid prayers procession was not among the activities banned by the police. The Emir proceeded with the customary post-Eid prayer procession as an optional means to meet and greet his subjects following the banning of the main Dabwa, where he would have had a chance to speak to the Kanawas. Sanusi set out from the Eid prayer ground at Kofa Mata, passing through Kofa Wambai and Sashusi before arriving at Shetima's residence, where he was received by Kano State Governor Abba Kebe Yusuf and other government officials. Eyewitnesses said the massive crowd that gathered to welcome the Emir expressed great joy as they watched him and his entourage pass by. President Bola Tinubu says he nearly abandoned his 2023 presidential ambition following a moment of doubt during the election campaign. Tinubu's special advisor on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, who disclosed the excerpts of the president's speech in a statement signed in the early hours of Sunday, titled "President Tinubu Appreciates Nigerians for Birthday Well Wishes," reveals he nearly quit 2023 presidential race, reflected on the pressures he faced, and recounted how a close relative visited him in the middle of the night and questioned his resolve. In his address, the president recognized the difficulties encountered along the path to the presidency and reaffirmed his commitment to advancing Nigeria's progress, adding that he assumed office during a period of economic challenges and had to make swift decisions, including scrapping the fuel subsidy on his inauguration day. Vice President Kashim Shettima lauded the president's leadership style, saying his decisions have tackled the issues. President Bola Tinubu has hosted his first set of guests for the Eid al-Fitr homage at the Presidential Banquet Hall, State House, Abuja. Sunday's meeting began at 12:16 p.m. when the president arrived at the venue, and the guests include some lawmakers representing the Federal Capital Territory at the National Assembly, area councils, chairpersons of the FCT, traditional rulers, leaders of the Christian and Muslim community, senior judicial officers, among others. The opening prayers were said by the chairman of the FCT chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Dr. Timothy Amazon, and the Mosheed of the National Mosque, Prof. Sas Galandanchi, while the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, who led the delegation, gave their opening remarks followed by the presentation of cards by the guests to the President. Seated are Vice President Kashim Shettima, the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, and the Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris. President of the Senate, Senator Goza, has hailed Muslim faithful on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr and urging them to pray for the unity of the nation. A congratulatory message issued by his special advisor in media and publicity, Eseme Oyibo in Abuja, Akpabio said as the faithful celebrate Salah, they should continue to pray and work for the unity of the country. He also expressed his warmest felicitations on behalf of his family, constituents, as well as the 10th Senate and the entire National Assembly. Leader of the Senate, Opeyemi Bamidele, has defended the decision of the National Assembly to ratify the proclamation of the state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu, saying lawmakers deserve commendation and not criticisms, stressing that instead of being vilified, National Assembly members should be commended for approving the emergency rule. Bamidele, who clarified the developments at the 29th convocation of Ekiti State University in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, where he bagged an honorary doctorate degree. The Senate leader received the honor alongside the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Dr. Zach Adedeji, and the chairman of the governing board, Bank of Industry, Dr. Mansour Motar. And while defending their intervention on the emergency rule, Bamidele argued that as a responsible and responsive parliament, they treated the matter as an ordinary measure in the interest of peace and without giving room for parochial interests. Speaking further, the chieftain of the ruling All Progressives Congress observed that the ratification of the emergency rule by the National Assembly significantly eased political tension in the state and lamented that rather than applaud the National Assembly for preventing anarchy, lawmakers were subjected to all forms of toxic criticism that do not portray their image well before the Committee of Nations. According to him, the barrage of attacks, especially from opposition parties, are viciously launched based on emotion and not reason, and commended them for the laudable initiative and not be vilified by some political actors who do not bother about what happens to the national security but about their parochial interests, regardless of their unpatriotic moves, stressing that Senate firmly stand for the peace and stability of Nigeria. Senate will prioritize the consideration and passage of President Bola Tinubu's tax reform bills upon resumption from its recess on April 29th. The four bills, Nigerian Tax Bill, Tax Administration Bill, Revenue Tax Board Bill, and Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, were forwarded by the President as part of the efforts to reform the country's fiscal policies and boost revenue generation. The delay in the passage of the bills had raised concerns, especially after the House of Representatives approved them 2 weeks ago, putting pressure on the Red Chamber. Earlier, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Yemi Odara Modu, who disclosed this, said the bills might not be passed before the lawmakers embarked on a break, adding that Senate went on recess without any mention of the bills, fueling speculations that something was amiss. Kakos and lawmaker representing Abia South, Inaya Abaribe, who allayed fears of a possible statement, said the bills had not been formally presented before the senators and assured that they would be addressed once legislative activities resume. Similarly, Senator Osita Izunaso, representing Imo West, expressed confidence that the tax reform bills would be among the key priorities upon resumption. National Judicial Council has rejected the proposal by the House of Representatives to empower the Nigerian Bar Association to sanction and remove corrupt judges. This is coming after, on March 25, 2025, the House of Representatives passed We'll go on a short break now, and when we return, we will continue with the rest of the stories. Please stay with us.
Welcome. How far, Niger? Welcome to the Glow Cafe app. Come in. Cuz it's time for an upgrade. Your own personal Glow Cafe app open 24/7. Welcome to bigger, better, smarter. Welcome to total control of your data, your airtime. Mom, I'll call you back. How you buy? I'll send you data. How you share and how you recharge. Movies, gaming, music, all in one place. Welcome to More Valley. Download the upgraded Glow Cafe app and get more data. Get 100% recharge bonus and get a massive 100 gigabytes data bonus when you register. Want it all? Download all this into this.
Unlimited.
National Judicial Council has rejected the proposal by the House of Representatives to empower the Nigerian Bar Association to sanction and remove corrupt judges. This is coming after, on March 25, 2025, the House of Representatives passed a bill seeking to amend the 1999 Constitution by introducing provisions for the removal of corrupt judges from the judiciary. The bill proposes that the NBA should receive petitions against such judicial officers, consider the defense of the petitioned officer, and take further steps on the matter. Reacting to the bill, the Deputy Director of Information of the NJC, Kemi Ogendegbe, questioned the feasibility and legality of such a move, citing constitutional constraints and procedural requirements. Ogendegbe said the Constitution placed the responsibility of disciplining judges squarely in the hands of the NJC, and sanctioning a judge is a process governed by specific procedures, including presenting evidence against accused judges. He questioned the practicality of the NBA taking on such responsibilities and the potential for abuse, adding that public hearings and stakeholder input would play a critical role in determining the viability of the proposed amendment. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has called on Senate President Godswill Akpabio and House of Representatives Speaker Tajuddin Abbas to immediately withdraw a bill seeking to impose a 6-month jail term or a fine of 100,000 naira or both on eligible Nigerians who fail to vote in national and state elections. A statement signed by StarTimes Duty Director Kolawole Oluwadari, the organization described the proposed legislation as oppressive and a violation of citizens' rights under the Nigerian Constitution and international human rights law, and argued that the measure infringes on citizens' rights to choose whether to participate in elections or not. The organization stressed the need to explicitly prohibit the appointment of partisan individuals as resident electoral commissioners in the Independent National Electoral Commission, and also called for amendments to enhance voter registration processes through technology and secure voting mechanisms, and also wants to take legal action should the bill be passed into law. Highlighting the importance of voluntary participation in democracy, StarTimes said the idea of compulsory voting and jailing citizens for not voting is impracticable, unnecessary and unlawful, and also stressed the need to rebuild public trust in elections, arguing that effective participation and confidence in the process depend on creating safe and conducive electoral environment. Independent National Electoral Commission says its bi-modal voter accreditation system and the INEC results viewing portal are not scams. INEC's Director of Information and Communication Technology, Dr. Lawrence Bayode, made this clarification during the conversation organized by the Commissioner on X in Abuja, adding that both BVAs and IREV were technological innovations aimed at enhancing the electoral process. He said INEC had taken bold steps and made concerted efforts to improve the credibility, transparency and accuracy of elections through technology and described BVAs and IREV as key components of Nigeria's election process, stressing that various misconceptions had created doubts about their functions. He dismissed the notion that technical failures such as slow uploads, server downtimes, or network issues equated to fraud and further debunks the myth that BVAs transmitted election results, stressing that its primary role was voter accreditation and authentication. He also dispelled the myth that voting could not continue if BVAs failed, explaining that INEC provided backup devices and in rare cases, elections in affected poll units might be rescheduled, and highlighted BVA's role in reducing electoral fraud, stating that voter impersonation and multiple voting had been significantly curbed since its introduction. INEC's Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Victoria Etta Messi, also said the Commission was collaborating with the National Assembly and stakeholders to amend the Electoral Act, particularly on election results management, and also reiterated INEC's commitment to voter education to build public trust, reduce voter apathy, and promote credible elections. Police Service Commission and the Nigeria Police Force have approved April 12, 2025 as the resumption date for the commencement of training for all successful candidates and the ongoing 2022 recruitment of constables into the Nigeria Police Force. Head, Press and Public Relations, Police Service Commission Ikechukwu Ani, in a statement, said applicants who participated in the recently conducted medical screening exercise held between February 26 and March 12, 2025, are to log on to the recruitment portal to check their application status and print their training call-up slip. The statement said the portal will open from tomorrow, being Monday, March 31st, 2025, and successful candidates are to report at designated police training institutions on the date and time indicated on their training call-up slip for documentation. The documentation period upon resumption after the training schools has been scheduled for April 12 to 19, 2025, adding that candidates who fail to report within the time frame will be considered to have declined the offer. Chairman of the Police Service Commission, DIG Hashimu Agongo, has congratulated the successful candidates and enjoined them to be committed to President Bola Tinubu's desire to give Nigeria a police force that is capable of and equipped to ensure the security of lives and property and defend the nation's democracy. DIG Agongo, who would wish the president a happy and joyful 73rd birthday, said the recruitment of the young Nigerians is obviously a birthday gift from Mr. President, adding that the Commission will continue to ensure that its recruitment process is merit-based, equitable and in line with the federal character policy. Sheet has accused police of hiding the corpses of its members who were allegedly killed during the clash that erupted on Friday as a result of their procession. Shite said 6 of its members were killed and 380, including women and children, were arrested and detained by the police after members of the movement and soldiers clashed during the procession marking the International Quds Day in Abuja on Friday. The FCT command spokesperson, Josephine Ade, in a statement, accused the Shite members of taking security operatives, saying they were armed with firearms, cutlasses, catapults, sticks, stones and petrol bombs. She said the confrontation led to intense gunfire, leaving 2 security operatives severely injured and 1 confirmed dead at the National Hospital, while 19 suspects were arrested in connection with the incident and others managed to escape. However, addressing journalists in Abuja, the resource forum of the IMN, led by Professor Abdullahi Danladi, alleged that security agents were hiding the bodies of those killed in the clash and also dismissed the police's accusations that members of the group were armed with dangerous weapons, describing it as a cover-up. He, however, demanded for the unconditional release of the arrested members and prosecution of those responsible for the death of their members. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has condemned the killing of travelers in Edo State, vowing that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. This is coming after last Thursday, a mob in Oromi, Edo State, killed 16 traveling hunters while the victims were reportedly returning home from Rivers State to celebrate the end of Ramadan and Eid Fitr with their families when they were attacked. The incident has been widely condemned by various northern groups, state governments and lawmakers. In a statement on Sunday by the Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Toko Gasau, of the Defense Staff said the tragic incident could have been prevented had the appropriate authorities been notified to verify the identities of the victims. He also urged citizens to avoid taking the law into their own hands and instead rely on security agencies for conflict resolution, and assured Nigerians that the armed forces of Nigeria will collaborate with the police and other security agencies to ensure justice is served, and warned vigilante groups, hunters among others, to register with relevant agencies to regulate the possession of firearms. Christian Association of Nigeria in the 19 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory has congratulated Muslims on the successful completion of Ramadan and the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. A statement issued on Sunday in Kaduna by the chairman, Reverend John Hayab, and the Secretary General, Bishop Muhammad Nagar, Northern CEN, highlighted the spiritual significance of Ramadan. The group also expressed grief over the killing of 16 travelers in Oromi, Edo State, describing the incident as a tragic loss to humanity, adding that the brutal taking of innocent lives is a tragedy that should unite us all in our outrage and determination to ensure that justice is served. The association urged Nigerians to see the attack as an affront to shared humanity, adding that the act of violence is not only an attack on any region, but on the shared humanity. Northern CEN appealed for peace while urging those advocating for retaliation to reconsider and also condemn the use of stereotypes and divisive rhetoric to justify criminality, stressing that evil is evil and criminals must be treated as such without recourse to identities that criminals use to evade justice. The statement urged Nigerians to reject stereotypes based on religion, ethnicity, or region, warning that such generalizations fuel mistrust and violence, adding that every Nigerian can live without fear of violence or persecution, regardless of their location within the Federation. Northern CAN called on security agencies, the Edo State government and the federal government to conduct a thorough investigation into the killings and ensure the perpetrators are brought to justice. Executive Chairman and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, has expressed confidence that Nigerians have the capacity to defeat corruption through collective determination and commitment. Olukoyede, who disclosed this statement in Abuja on Sunday, in his goodwill message to Muslims celebrating Eid al-Fitr across the country, reaffirming the nation's ability to overcome corruption, adding that Nigerians are stronger than corruption, and urged Muslims to internalize the lessons of Ramadan on self-denial, discipline, sacrifice, love and purity, and channel them into a renewed commitment to shun corrupt practices. He also assured Nigerians that the anti-corruption war remains on course and the EFCC is gaining momentum in its effort to curb economic and financial crimes. Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, has urged governments at all levels to provide fruits of democracy to citizens to assuage their sufferings in accordance with Section 14, Paragraphs 2b of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The Eid al-Fitr celebration marks the end of the month-long Ramadan fast, and PAC felicitated Muslims across the country for the successful completion of the Ramadan fast. The council enjoined them to imbibe the virtues of piety, love, tolerance, generosity, and unity in the quest for a better society, adding that the Constitution provides that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of the government. Meanwhile, the Commission strongly condemned the gruesome killing of 16 hunters in Oromi, Edo State, who were allegedly traveling from Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, to Kano to celebrate Salah with their families. Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors say only 11,899 of its members operate in Nigeria, which represents about 40% of Nigerian doctors, adding that improving incentives and working conditions would encourage more doctors to remain in the country. NARD President Dr. Tope Osundara said increasing the retirement age of healthcare workers from 60 to 65 years was not the only solution to addressing the growing human resource gap in the healthcare sector, adding that efforts should focus on making Nigeria's medical facilities and working conditions more attractive to doctors, while acknowledging that Nigeria might not be able to. He suggested that a system similar to what exists in those countries would suffice, adding that while it might benefit more agile healthcare workers, the impact on productivity remained a concern. He also questioned the implementation of the National Policy on Health Workforce Immigration approved by President Bola Tinubu in August 2024. Now to our business news. President Bola Tinubu has given presidential assent to the Investments and Securities Bill, thus providing for a robust regulatory framework in Nigeria's capital market. According to a statement issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission on Saturday, the new Investments and Securities Act 2024 repeals the Investment and Securities Act 2007 and introduces key reforms aimed at boosting investor confidence, strengthening market oversight, and aligning Nigeria's financial markets with global best practices. Commenting on this milestone, the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, lauded the President's assent as a transformative step for the capital market. Some of the key reforms include the formal recognition of virtual assets such as cryptocurrencies as securities, bridging them under the regulatory oversight of the SEC, as well as expansion of securities to cover investment contracts and ensuring that digital asset operators, exchanges, and service providers comply with investor protection standards. Additionally, the law enhances the SEC's enforcement powers and aligns its regulatory structure with the International Organization of Securities Commission standards, strengthening Nigeria's standing in the global financial system, and assured stakeholders of a seamless transition from the repealed ISA 2007 to the new regulatory framework with engagements planned to ensure smooth implementation. This development is expected to enhance market integrity and systemic risk management and boost investor confidence in Nigeria's financial sector, positioning it for sustainable expansion in the years ahead, while the SEC extends its profound appreciation to the National Assembly for its patriotism and dedication in enacting this new legal framework for the Nigerian capital market. Now to our international news. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says most regions of the country were recently attacked by the Russian army, adding that about 1,310 Russian guided aerial bombs, over 1,000 attack drones, mostly Shaheds, and 9 missiles of various types, including ballistic ones, were launched into Ukraine in the past 1 week. Zelensky, who confirmed the statement on his official X handle on Sunday, however, said a significant number of the weapons were successfully shot down by air defense warriors, mobile fire groups, and all units involved in protecting our skies. Confirming Saturday's strike on Kharkiv, Zelensky said the attack sadly took the lives of 2 people, adding that Russia is dragging out the war, while Ukraine will continue to provide its partners with full information on the strikes the Russian army is carrying out and the action it is preparing for. President Donald Trump has threatened to impose secondary tariffs of 25% to 50% on all Russian oil if he feels Moscow is blocking his effort to end the war in Ukraine. This is coming after Russian President Vladimir Putin criticized the credibility of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's leadership, while Trump planned to speak with Putin this week after he promised repeatedly to end what he calls a ridiculous war in Ukraine. He has focused heavily on the issue since taking office in January 20th, holding negotiations in Saudi Arabia recently with the Russian team, while Putin has suggested that Ukraine could be placed under a form of temporary administration to allow for new elections and the signature of key accords. The development, if implemented, could effectively push out Zelensky from power as the Ukrainian president adding that the tariffs on Russian oil would come within a month without a ceasefire deal. Turkish presidency says Swedish journalist who was detained on his arrival in Turkey to cover protests over the jailing of Istanbul's mayor has been arrested on terror-related charges and for insulting the president, Joachim Medim, who works for the Dungeons ETC newspaper, has been arrested on charges of membership in an armed terrorist organization and insulting the president. This is coming after Medin was detained when his plane landed in Turkey and sent to prison the next day. The jailing of Medin came just hours after the authorities released the last of 11 journalists arrested in down raids on Monday. For covering the protest. Among them is AFP photographer Yasin Akul. Turkish authorities have also deported BBC journalist Mark Lowen, who had been covering the protest, after holding him for 17 hours on Wednesday, saying he posed a threat to public order. Turkey's communications directorate said Lowen had been deported due to a lack of accreditation, while Turkish prosecutors had already opened an investigation into Medin in 2023 over a demonstration he joined in Stockholm, in which a puppet of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan was hung from its feet, according to the presidency statement on Sunday. Now to our sports news. Former national and West African light heavyweight champion Segun Success Olarewaju has died after collapsing during a boxing match in Ghana on Saturday. Olarewaju lost consciousness while facing Ghanaian boxer John Mbanugu at Fight Night 15 of the Ghana Professional Boxing League at Bukom Boxing Arena. The boxing community has been thrown into mourning following his sudden death. Olarewaju is a respected figure in Nigerian boxing, previously held both national and West African light heavyweight titles, and his contributions to the sport in Nigeria and across West Africa have been widely acknowledged, with colleagues and fans paying tribute to his legacy. Middlesbrough manager Michael Carrick has backed Kelechi Iheanacho to score more goals for the club. Iheanacho opened his goal account for Borough in the 3-1 victory over Oxford United at the Riverside Stadium on Saturday. The 28-year-old struck in the 48th minute to hand the hosts the lead for the first time in the game, and Iheanacho joined Middlesbrough on loan from Spanish club Sevilla in January. Rangers head coach Barry Ferguson has lavished praises on Cyril Dessers following the forward's impressive performance in the club's 4-3 win over Dundee at the Dens Park on Saturday. The Light Blues rallied from 3-1 down to win the Scottish Premiership encounter. Dessers scored the winning goal in the 3rd minute of added time, and it was the Nigeria international's 22nd goal of the season of Rangers. The 30-year-old has also registered 5 assists in the current campaign. Now to our entertainment news. Controversial media personality Ifedayo Olarinde, popularly known as Daddy Freeze, says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has restored his hope in Nigeria. He claimed that the president's policies have provided the citizens with a beacon of hope and urged Nigerians to be patient with the president and his policies, adding that the country faces deep-rooted challenges that will take time to resolve. He described Nigeria as a big, overloaded tipper with a bad engine and needs mechanic at the leadership is that mechanic. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Navy rescues 15 passengers from kidnappers in Rivers State. Serap condemns bill to jail Nigerians who eschew voting. Tinubu hosts weekly FCT delegations at Aso Villa. Tinubu signs investment securities bill into law. Zelensky accuses Russia of launching missiles in Ukraine. Boxer Olarewaju dies after collapsing in Ghana fight. Tinubu has restored my hope in Nigeria, says Daddy Freeze. I am Francis Necker. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram, Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress.